I mean, come on. I know you have to give everyone a voice, right? So I understand it. But I guess that's why I feel compelled that I gotta put forth my message, my narrative to counteract this bullshit because that's the beautiful thing about freedom of speech. Yes, you know, publications such as The Atlantic, you have every right to have Annie Lowry present this kind of narrative, but of course, I have every bit of right to counteract that narrative. I just wish that a lot of you people that had these major publications were willing to give us a voice rather than us have to use our minor platforms to counteract your narrative, right? Headline out of The Atlantic. Unbelievable. Should the government guarantee everyone a job? Communism. Socialism. An old idea for preventing poverty and fighting recession is gaining traction once again. So, how would the government give everyone a job? What is government? Like I say, let's define the terms, man. So, just in this headline, let's just start define the terms. So, a key word here is government. Government. What is government? But the collective mysticism of having a bunch of central planning rulers in any particular geographical landmass that gets to dominate and dictate how the people in that particular geographical landmass, how they live and how they exist, right? So it's basically like being a master. So government is like having a master. Now, first of all, I don't believe in masters. I'll tell you that right now. Never have, never will. Even when I was younger, I might have believed that the concept, because like I said, I was too young or too ignorant to understand all the nuances and how just destructive that very concept was. But even then, I fought it tooth and nail. Even though I didn't even understand it, I still instinctively, something in my brain told me that nobody has any authority to fucking rule over me. Nobody. Even my parents, you have the right to raise me and, da da da. But you don't rule over me. You don't own me. Even with my innate parents, with my family, like even my last names, they still don't rule me. So no fucking central planning governments or politicians or lawyers you don't rule me. You don't own me. But here what they're saying is government, like I say, people that have the pretense, the suggestion, and the concept in the brain that they believe that they do rule over you, like as if they're your owners, your masters. So should your owners guarantee everyone a job instead of making you have to go out and be personally responsible, accountability, and, instead of free market fundamentals, it's like, should your rulers just give you a job? And of course, if your ruler gives you a job, well, they're going to set the rules accordingly, right? Because they're your rulers. But like I said, look to Venezuela, right? Or any of these fucking countries that have ever tried going full socialism and see how that's panned out. Or show me, or just better yet, point out one example where that has happened, where everybody works for government. Show me one example in the entire globe, on the entire planet, where there has been a situation where everybody works for government and that's worked out good. Right? Show me one example, and then I'll say, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let's start going that way. The reason why I'm common enough to say that is that you won't find any. And that's for a reason, because government is a wealth redistribution, a model of theft. So the minute you think that you're going to take, well, if everybody works for government, well, who are you going to steal from? Who's going to be the producers? Well, there's no one no more. So you run out of, hey, where's all the money come from? Oh, we've destroyed the incentives, so there's no longer people that actually amass or accumulate wealth. So how are you going to give people jobs? What? Just are we even really presenting and putting forth? Are they really? Is Annie really putting forth this pretense? Let's just print money. Let's just make monopoly the pretense of how we deal with each other, right? Let's just print money, and if you run out of money, well, let's just write it on a piece of paper, right? And that's the basis in how humans are going to learn to like I said, not just psychology or sociology or even philosophy, but even economics. Learn things about, because economics is not just economic. Economics is all about human habits and behaviors too, right? And it's not just the science of money. Economics is about, natural human habits and behaviors. So like I say, should government give everyone a job? I mean, that very headline should be, first of all, that's a headline. It's like, it deserves if I was, well, I guess, if you own a publication, you're like, oh, let them put forth their message. But in this modern era, well, I guess that's the thing in a way, though. I'm totally on board with allowing people to put this message forward. Like, I'm trying to run this through my brain now, right? So it's like, well, they should have the freedom and the right to put forth their message. But then you should, at the very least, especially with something like this, because it's all about mysticism, collective mysticism, and the pretense of central planning and rulers, if you're going to allow this kind of opinion to be put forth and presented, which you should, right? It's freedom of speech. But at the very least, if you're going to at least pretend to be objective, right, and allow people that are going to consume this kind of material to be objective in their own minds, in their own concepts, is at least allow a counter narrative to exist in this article. So it's like, okay, you can put forth communism or socialism, but then you better at least have a counter narrative from a capitalist or a free marketeer, right? So that people at least hear both sides of the story, at least a couple sides, before they discern or disseminate an opinion in regards to this article. That's really what it should come down to, but they don't do it anymore. It's because they appeal, right? It's all about appealing to a collective, right? They don't care about respecting individuals or rights or personal responsibility or accountability anymore. It's all just, like I say, it's that race to the bottom. And I'll read a little bit just to see what they're trying to put forth here now. Should Uncle Sam give a job to every American who wants one? That question feels awfully theoretical given the share of dramatic spending cuts pending in the Republican-controlled Congress. Still, it is one that the Democrats are starting to ask. Of course, the Democrats. Because the modern Democrats today, unfortunately, they're socialists and communists. They've had a lot of people that come from those old world regimes that now pretty much dominate that political party. The policy proposal is called a jobs guarantee, and the Center for American Progress, arguably the most influential think tank on the mainstream left, is officially pushing it as of this week. In a new report, CIP calls for a Marshall Plan for America to counter the effects of reducing bargaining power, technical changes, globalization, and the Great Recession. With wages stagnant, the middle class shrinking, and workers without college degrees falling behind, the government should engage in massive infrastructure investment and start a public employment program, the report argues. So it's like, no, you should allow the people to be hold corporations, governments to account, and that pushback will put all these fundamentals that are showing all this discrepancy and disparity as far as equality and of opportunity, right? Allow the people to push back against their central planning control freaks, masters and rulers, right? So whether it's the corporate or political or pundit class, allow the people to push back against them. That's where you'll see where that'll happen, right? Just give the people the ability, without criminalizing and punish them, to push back against the rulers, and that'll happen naturally, right? No central planning involved. Just allow people the ability to defend themselves against central planners, and then you'll see that, they're not asking for your help or your assistance. They're just saying, get the fuck off my back and allow me to defend myself. That's really what it comes down to. Like I say, I'm not even going to read any more into this article because I know where these people, I know exactly where they try to paint their narrative. Now, like I say, I'm already well informed in it, but if you're not totally informed on the nuances and what kind of messaging and presentations they're trying to put forth, I will recommend, and that's why I always put a link to these things that I deal with in the video description below, so that you have to, don't take my word or don't take their word, don't take anyone's word for it. Read through things, be objective, be honest, be logically consistent. Now, in your brain, you can do that. Out in public, you might have to, present yourself in a different way, but just be honest and objective about things when you're reading these articles. That's the most important thing you can do. Because these are important things. These aren't just a matter of opinions as far as like, oh, do you like the color blue or the color red? That stuff, who gives a shit, right? Because no one has any pretense of authority saying, oh, you better like red, or no, you better like blue. But these kind of things, these things that are done through the political realm, through the justice system, through legality, it's very important that you learn to read through and understand what each side is trying to present, and at least have the foundational aspects of critical thinking skills so that you can say, who's being logically consistent, who's being moral, and who's being genuinely just in this whole equation. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.